180. So today I want to do something a little bit different. I want to share a thought and actually give a brief book review. And I hope that this will encourage you. So here's the thought. I've been reading this book. I went to the Global Leadership Summit. I heard Pastor Erwin McManus preach, and I saw this book. And I didn't buy it right away, but then a few days later, I kept thinking about the book, his message. I bought the book. Here it is. It's called The Last Arrow. Pastor McManus pastors Mosaic Church in Los Angeles, California. Great book. Now here's why it's a great book. Here's the thought. He talks about Elisha. And there's two major stories in this book, The Last Arrow, about Elisha. First is the first story, and they're not in sequential order. The first story is that Elisha goes and he's speaking to King Jehoash of Israel about a victory that he can have over the nation Aram. And so he is to take an arrow out of his quiver, shoot the arrow, and then it shows that he's going to have victory. And then he's told to take his arrows and strike them to the ground, these arrows that he has shot. Strike them to the ground, and he will have victory for as many times as he strikes the arrows to the ground. So Jehoash strikes 1, 2, 3, and he stops. And he's told that his victory over the king of Aram is going to be limited because he shouldn't have stopped after 3. He should have kept going. And the thought is, how many times do we stop when God is leading and blessing and moving us to something? How many times do we stop before God really tells us to stop? We stop early and we never finish and we never experience the great thing that God has for us. The other part of the story, the other account that Pastor McManus shares in the book is Elisha again responding to his call to ministry. And Elijah the great prophet is before him, and Elisha is going to follow after Elijah. And when Elisha calls him, when Elijah calls Elisha to come and follow him, Elisha says farewell to his parents. He takes the oxen that he was farming with, and he kills the oxen. He takes the yoke, or whatever that was they were connected to, the plow, and he burns the wood and makes an altar and roasts the oxen and feeds people. And the idea is Elisha burned the past behind him for this great future that God has. And so many times we hang on to the past. And when God is calling us to do something and He's gifted us to do something, the idea is let's not hang on to the past. Let's burn the bridges. Let's burn the past, and so that we can go forward to experience the great blessing that God has. And that's what this book, The Last Arrow, is all about. And it resonated so much with me because this is my life, and I'm sure it's your life too, that God has called us to do something. And so many times we pause, we hesitate, and then later on we're filled with regret. We fight battles and we win battles that maybe the battle should never have been fought in the first place. And sometimes we hesitate and we miss out and we let go the very good thing that God has for us. So it's an encouragement. First, take a look at those two stories. One is in 2 Kings chapter 2. The other one is in 1 Kings chapter 20. Or no, I'm sorry, 1 Kings chapter 13. 2 Kings 13, I'm sorry. 2 Kings 13, and the first story, Elisha and Elijah, is 2 Kings chapter 2. There you go. So take a look at those, and then just think about your life and living it with no regrets, having no arrows left in the quiver, shooting your arrows, burning the things of the past, and moving forward to experience the marvelous victories and blessings that God has for you. All right? Have a great week and a great Labor Day weekend coming up, and we'll see you next week.